The story surrounding Wyoming's bucking bronco logo is very complex, but something that's very near and dear to the hearts of many Wyomingites. The story, or the origin of the bucking horse, begins with Sheridan National Guardsman George Nicholas Ostrom. Sergeant Ostrom was originally from Iowa, and in 1913, at age 25, he relocated to Spring Willow, a now ghost town located in Sheridan County. And the same year, he enlisted in D Company, Wyoming National Guard. He was, at different points, an infantryman, but also a bugler. He had had a little bit of musical training before he came to Wyoming, and he served as the company's bugler, providing instruction, calls. We think of reveille and taps today, but there are a whole host of other bugle calls that were used to give orders to different units throughout the course of their day. In 1916, the U.S. military was deployed to Mexico as part of a punitive expedition. The Mexican Revolution had come over the border, attacked small communities in South Texas and New Mexico, and following the attack on Columbus, New Mexico, President Woodrow Wilson authorized a punitive expedition to seek out Francisco Pancho Villa, one of the revolutionaries. To maintain the security along the border, the National Guard units were federalized and deployed along the border, including the Wyoming Army Guard. For about a year, from September 30th to March 1st, September 30th, 1916 to March 1st, 1917, Sergeant Ostrom and D Company were in Demings, New Mexico, at Camp Deming. They were returned to Wyoming in March of 1917, and on April 7th, 1917, President Woodrow Wilson signed the Declaration of War, bringing the United States into the First World War. So they had a 3-week vacation before returning to federal service. Sergeant Ostrom's unit was sent to Camp Nathaniel Greene in North Carolina, where they were joined with units from Oregon and Colorado and became the 148th Field Artillery Unit. The 148th was deployed to France and was trained on 155 millimeter howitzers and fought in all 5 major campaigns that the American Expeditionary Force, or AEF, participated in. During his time with the 148th, Sergeant Ostrom, who had a little bit of artistic training, he had drawn scenes both of his time along the Mexican border and also of his time while serving in France, and he designed a logo for the unit. And that was, he drew inspiration from his favorite horse from Wyoming, Red Wing, which he'd actually brought to France with the 148th. And he designed a bucking bronco logo that adorned all of the 148th's field pieces, tractors, subordinate equipment. Later, after the war, they'd even paint them onto helmets. And the unit served as an occupying force in Germany through 1919. And several commemorative pieces, including humidors and pins, were created that adorned that logo. After the war, the 148th was returned, and the Wyoming troopers were demobilized at Fort David A. Russell, now F.E. Warren Air Force Base, and Ostrom returned to Sheridan County. That logo continued to be used in small parts throughout the 20s and 30s. Another logo with the bucking horse was created at the University of Wyoming and drew inspiration from a photograph of a cowboy, Guy Edward Holt, who was riding the horse Steamboat at the Albany County Fair in 1903. That was another inspiration. So in the 1930s, Secretary of State, later Governor and Senator, Lester C. Hunt, commissioned artist Alan True to create a bucking horse logo that could be used on Wyoming license plates. It was unveiled in 1935 and was first brought into the 1936 license plates. And almost immediately there was controversy about who was the horse, who was the rider, what inspiration did True use for his design. And there are differences between the Ostrom bucking horse the early university bucking horse, and then the one that we recognize today on our license plates. And there really is no good answer. True really did not state who the rider was or who the horse was. So different parts of Wyoming have a different answer of who it is. Is it Red Wing? Is it Steamboat? Is the rider Guy Holt or Stub Farlow or Clayton Danks? There's a number of different cowboys, different horses that come up. We really don't know. And I think it adds to the mystique of the logo of who's the horse, who's the rider. It could be anyone. It could be any cowboy. It could be any horse. It's a complicated and pretty unique story.